All right, we are here with the big boss man, Chatri Sityodtong, the chairman and CEO of One Championship. Good to see you again, Chatri. How's everything going?
Good to see you, Nick. I had a good chat. I had an interview with your CEO a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that interview.
Yeah, they told me I might have to fill in for Garry because he was traveling. But luckily, he found time and you guys found a time to talk. How did it go?
Good. It was good fun. Good guy. And he's trying to do big things with SCMP. And I give a shout out to you, by the way, to him. So I told him before the show what
oh, thank you.
Or maybe it was during the show. I don't remember. But I told him, hey, man, Nick has done a phenomenal job out there. So,
mate, appreciate that. Yeah. Because hopefully I'm trying to make the MMA as big as I can with SCMP. So I know Garry likes it and he gives me a lot of support. Well, look, I know it's pretty hectic right now in the world of One Championship. So thank you for taking some time to talk to me. Firstly, I just wanted to chat. The Apprentice launched last week. I'm not the biggest reality TV fan, and I've never really seen an episode of The Apprentice either, but I thought it was really fun. And basically, I enjoyed just seeing you scream at people when they mess up. Have you been enjoying that?
I think that's what people are watching for, the drama. But at the same time, yesterday's episode was Renzo and GSP. Next episode is going to be Angela Lee. So this version of The Apprentice is completely revamped, has nothing to do with the historical versions, and that's why we call it, this is not your grandfather's Apprentice. So whatever notions you have of it, it's completely different. The only things that are similar are the winner gets a $250,000 job offer to work for me. But, we have physical tasks where the candidates have to jump off a 100-foot bridge, with Renzo and GSP, actually. They get submerged in a helicopter upside down underwater and have to escape. A lot of crazy things like that. On top of it, we get the world champions and martial arts legends from around the world participating in every episode in these physical tasks. And then there's business challenges. And I've invited some of the top CEOs from around the world who are my buddies to join the show as a co-judge, as a guest CEO judge. So it's kind of like, if you're a reality TV fan, there's lots of drama, crying, laughing, real moments. And at the same time, if you're a business fan, there's real business stuff that you see and you'll learn. And then if you're an MMA fan, then, well, you get to see your favorite superstars on TV.
I haven't seen episode 2 yet, so I'm eagerly awaiting it. I don't know really where I can find it in Hong Kong. I think it's on Now TV, but I'm trying to track it down. I really enjoyed episode 1, yeah.
Isn't AXN on Hong Kong?
I heard someone told me it's on Now TV here, but I don't have Now TV.
So, the funny part is, so Renzo and GSP flew to Singapore. I'd asked them to come over. They had no idea what they were doing. And I don't know if people know, GSP's greatest fear is fear of heights. So I have them climb up a 140-foot bridge, and then they're asked to jump. So they were never told before. I just somehow forgot to tell them ahead of time, or maybe whatever. So we had actually lunch and dinner the night before, and it just never came up. And then, the morning of, they go to this bridge, and they're like, "What do you want us to do?" Like, you got to go up to the top of it, and then jump off. So it was pretty cool. Watching. GSP's the man. He talks about fear and courage and how without fear, there is no courage. And he faced his greatest fear and like a champ. And he just, stepped over the rails of the bridge and just jumped. I mean, big respect, mad respect. I always loved GSP, but man, for you to conquer your greatest fear right there on the spot with no warning, pretty impressive. Renzo's always been crazy. So he's up for anything. So I knew he would be like, he would not give a damn about jumping off a bridge. This is a guy who would fight in ADCC back in the heyday 1 week and then fight the next week in Pride with, no sleep. I mean, Renzo's done some crazy things in his life. So I knew he'd be okay with it.
So George isn't mad at you?
No. We had a good laugh afterwards. We had dinner again and we were cracking up about it. So I said, man, George, if I had told you, I don't know if you would. I don't know if you would have flown to Singapore.
Yeah, I remember when he flew out there, and I had a feeling something was up. I was wondering what would happen, but it turns out he's on The Apprentice. Is there anything else you want to work with him on in terms of One Championship? Did you talk about other projects and things like that?
Yeah, there's a possibility. We're good friends, and we're both, true martial artists. We really, we have a lot in common. We get along very, very well. And I kind of as a friend, and there's definitely going to be opportunities to work together for sure. Definitely in the future with George.
Well, there's so many other things going on in one. So I guess I just wanted to get the most recent here is Miesha Tate. She's back in the UFC. Miesha obviously retired in 2016 and joined you guys as vice president of One Championship in Singapore. I know you gave some of your thoughts on Facebook, but yeah, what was your reaction like? You sad to see her go?
Well, she's not gone, and she'll always be part of the One family. Temporary hiatus as an athlete, away from the business life. And I'm a huge fan of Miesha. That's another person that she came to Singapore several years ago. We clicked as friends and stayed in touch. And then I can't remember. I think Miesha reached out to me and said, "Chatri, I want to move to Singapore." And I was like, wow. And then she came here and had a blast, had a lot of value. And then about several months ago, she just started getting the itch of wanting to compete again. And so she bounced the idea with me, and I was totally supportive. I was like, man, I think definitely you've had a long break and you're fresh now. Your body's fresh, your mind is fresh. And the reality is this, right? Once someone's on fire about an idea or a dream, especially someone passionate like Miesha, she's going to do it. And so, I gave her my full support and blessing right off the bat. And, I said, you should talk to UFC because, the perfect situation would have been UFC would have released her from her fight contract. But, even before she joined as a VP, I knew she was under a contract as an athlete with the UFC. And so it is what it is. I mean, obviously, I would love to have had Miesha compete in One and eventually go for a title run. But she's a friend, so I wish her well. I want to see her succeed. I want her to see her chase a dream. So I think she has a shot again at being the bantamweight world champion.
Right. So Miesha is still with One Championship in some capacity, and
I think Miesha, at least we have kind of because we get along so well, we want to work together. And just because she's going to compete in the UFC does not mean that she cannot return back to One Champion in the future. So we've left all doors open. I think UFC didn't want her working at One Championship while she's competing, which I respect. And at the same time, I also want Miesha 100% focused on her athletic career. But this by no means is the end of anything for me and Miesha. We had a good chat, and I gave full support and blessings, and we definitely want to work together in the future. We're friends, and she'll be back at One Champion. That's what I predict. But again, I don't want to make far out reaching. Maybe who knows? Maybe after she wins the world title again, she ends up being a movie star. Where we just don't know, right? But yeah, I mean. We get along and we work well together. So we've left the door open.
Yeah, and if she fights out that fight, I think she's got a few fights left. If she fights out the contract, would you love to see her fight in One Championship? Definitely.
That we've also discussed that kind of in a theoretical way, way in the future, if ever something happened and whatever. I said, yeah, of course. If there's opportunity, and I think. A couple of years ago, she had asked to get released so that she could compete in One Champ, but that didn't go down. And again, I respect it, right? That's UFC has to run their business, and I fully respect that. But of course, again, like I said, Miesha and I get along well as friends, and anything can happen, right? So, including she might come back, fight once, and then realize, I don't want to be an athlete anymore. Right. We even discussed that option. So who knows, right? I just spoke to Miesha yesterday. She wants, her heart is on fire. She's got the eye of the tiger back, So, and for every, when you're competing at the highest levels of the world, whether it's One or UFC, if you don't have the eye of the tiger, if you don't have that desire and hunger, you can't succeed. You get crushed in One and you'll get crushed in UFC. So it's important for her to recognize that she has the eye of the tiger. She's got that fire again, and that went missing, at the very end of her career. So it's good that she has a fire back. That's the most important thing.
And presumably, if she did fight and won, you'd have to maybe build a new division for her, you know, the flyweight or bantam.
Yeah, but that's just that's easy. Like, right? I mean, now we have scouts all over the world. One is a big brand. It's very easy for us to sign any top athlete, free agent that we want. You know, I mean, we pay well, so that's not the issue. The issue is more, you know, contracts, right?
Well, one big signing you have made this week, Gordon Ryan. You dropped the bombshell on social media. He says he's going to do submission grappling. So yeah, it's been a while since you had one of those events. Are you glad to be bringing those back?
Yeah. So the contract is for both submission grappling and MMA. I know he's keen on MMA. Right now, he's very focused on his big ADCC fight with Andre Galvao. You know, so that's what he wants most. And so he's going to be concentrating on that in the next several months. But, you know, again, these things are very fluid and dynamic. Gordon obviously is the GOAT of grappling. And for me, you know, our rosters, you know, one champion does all martial arts. We don't just do MMA. So we have MMA, we have the GOAT of MMA and DJ, we have the GOAT in kickboxing, Giorgio Petrosian, we have the GOAT in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Marcus Buchecha, we have the GOAT now in submission grappling in Gordon Ryan, and we have the GOAT in Muay Thai. So, you know, for every one of our divisions, we want to make sure that we have the best in the world. And that's just, I mean, our ethos is finding the very, very best in the world at their disciplines, whether it's mixed martial arts, submission grappling, boxing, Muay Thai, kickboxing, karate, sanda, etc. We just want the very, very best. And, you know, that's why one is the home of martial arts.
What would the time frame be for him to consider MMA? Because I was talking to Buchecha. I asked him maybe he would want that matchup again, like grappling match, but he said, you know, it takes so long to train in MMA. He's been focused on it for 10 months. It would be tough to abandon all that. So presumably after ADCC, would Gordon have to spend a while for that transition into MMA, wouldn't he?
Yeah. For sure. But again, like, he's under Danaher and Garry, so he's in the thick of everything. And Gary's obviously had a phenomenal transition, as good as you can. Literally not as good as you can, the best possible transition from submission grappling to mixed martial arts. I mean, if you look at his first couple of fights, he didn't look like he knew what he was doing in there. But towards, you know, the last couple of fights, so it's very clear the way he's transitioning, the way he's going from striking to takedowns to jiu-jitsu, ground and pound, like, you can see that he's got all the pieces, right? And now he's a very dangerous threat to any top 5 lightweight in the world. He's just a threat because, you know, if it goes to the ground, he can finish you with his nasty heel hooks, knee bars, you know, rear naked chokes, and but his hands are very heavy. So you know, Gary's a big monster. And you know, his next fight is going to be the title fight against Thanh. So that's going to be very exciting. And so Gordon, obviously being a teammate of Garry, you know, is soaking this all up. So. And the reality is Gordon's only 25.
Is that confirmed then? I didn't know that was official. Garry and Thanh.
Oh, I guess. I forgot. I guess I wasn't supposed. Yeah. So they had both agreed to it originally, but Thanh had broken his hand, and it was still recovering from his previous fight. So it was actually supposed to be slated. We'd given the fight offer for April for TNT, our TNT shows, and Thanh just asked for more time and said no problem. So, but all the work out, right? I mean, hopefully Gary's not injured by the time, you know, so ideally it's this summer, possibly June timeframe, is what I'm thinking right now. But again, I haven't talked to Garry or Thanh about how their training is going and whether they're injured or not. Yeah. So I still don't have visibility there, but if they're both healthy and ready to go, that's the fight to make.
All right. You heard it here first, people. We've also got the Atomweight Grand Prix finally confirmed. All of the names, the brackets have been announced.
Yes, I know it took a while. You know, back in December, we thought we were going to sign Elise, you know, right there, and so we generally were going to release the results, not the results. We're going to release the brackets and everything by December. We had 7 athletes ready to go, all signed. So Seo Hinam was signed already. But we didn't want to announce it without the GP. So finally, we got Elise Anderson on board, and super excited because she's a firecracker. I mean, a real incredible, aggressive athlete, and I believe she's one of the best atomweights already in the world, and this is going to be her moment to shine. But I mean, look at those 8 athletes. They're all incredible. This is definitely the greatest pound for pound female World Grand Prix ever done in the history of martial arts, for sure. No question.
So I thought it was Ham who was holding up the Grand Prix, but it was Elise.
Oh,
I see.
Yeah. No. Ham was already on board back in December, but we just kept quiet because we wanted to do it with the GP. And again, we really thought it was going to be imminent, right? We thought it was going to be like mid or end December we would announce, and it just dragged on. And then we thought, okay, it's going to be January, and then it just dragged on. And but it is what it is. I mean, it's just part of the business. It's part of the game. It is what it is. So
I guess we can finally talk about Ham then. How excited are you to have her on board? Because, she brings a lot of pedigree, doesn't she?
No, absolutely. And she, in prior organizations, she never got to fight at her weight class. And that's, her losses are actually because she fought up a weight class or 2. So this is her natural weight. And obviously, one is the only organization globally with an atomweight division and the deepest atomweight division. No, we're not the only organization. I think we're the only global organization. I mean, if you look at UFC or One Championship, right, there is no atomweight in the UFC. And so we have the most stacked female atomweight division, on the planet. And I think Seo Hee-ham wanted that, for her last run of her career would be against the toughest female athletes in the world in her weight class.
Is she your early favorite to win already? And if not, who? And do you have a dark horse?
So, man, it's so tough because there's so many incredible female athletes there. I'd say my dark horse would be Elise would be one of my dark horses. I think Ritu Phogat from India is also one of my dark horses. I think the favorite is, I think it would have to be Ham, just because of her experience. But man, it's so hard to tell me because Denise is really big and long and strong and very aggressive, right? So Ham might have the experience advantage, but Denise is an absolute killer, and she comes to finish fights. So it's going to be an interesting fight. That's going to be an interesting matchup. So man, it's too hard. So whenever I look at it, I'll have an idea of, okay, this is my dark horse. This is my favorite. But then, the next day I look at it again, I'm like, no, this is my favorite. This is my dark horse. So randomly right now at this time, I think, okay, Elise and Ritu could be the dark horses and Ham as a favorite. But then these girls are really, 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 really up there. And at the highest levels in the world, it's the margin of error is, the hair on your head. So Mengbo could be also one of the dark horses, right? Mengbo hits so hard. She's so aggressive. And she's big for the weight class as well. So, and obviously she beat Weili Zhang, right? Zhang Weili. So she's definitely one of the ones to watch.
Absolutely. And Itsuki Hirata as well. So many talented women in there. I can't wait to watch. Are Mei Yamaguchi and Lin, are they going to be alternates? Because maybe they were a bit unlucky to be left out.
No, we have 4 alternates. I can't remember all 4, but yes, May's definitely there. I mean, it's unfortunate that we could only pick 8 because definitely May's up there. Jihin is up there. You're right. There are a lot of females up there.
Yeah, you could have done 16.
Yeah, exactly. So, but they will be alternates. Yeah. So May's definitely going to be an alternate, as is Jihin. So
yeah, and we know Grand Prix sometimes, or usually, something goes wrong. So I'm sure there might be a chance for someone to step in.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Well, what's the time frame though for Angela's return then? Because I think you were initially optimistic she'd be back around the end of this year, but it probably, with it starting in May, it's probably going to be 2022 when she's back. What do you think?
No, Angela wants to fight in November, and our plan is to finish the GP by September. So the winner will be hopefully, again, injuries aside, there's a lot of obviously things that can happen in between. But our goal is to finish it by end of September and set up a end of November kind of champion versus champion fight against Angela. Angela wants to return. She's expressed to me many times she plans her return November of this year.
All right. I was just thinking maybe it might be pushed back with the delay from the beginning of the year, but you're going to do some pretty quick turnarounds then with these matchups.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, before the Grand Prix, I wanted to just get your thoughts on these 4-1 on TNT cards. DJ and Moraes, Demetrious Johnson, they're finally going to dance. You've got your fingers crossed because this matchup's kind of been put off a few times, feels slightly cursed.
Exactly, Nick. It's been one of those things where, it was offered actually a year and a half ago. It was good to go. Then this happened, that happened. Then, Moraes couldn't leave the country because he was in the middle of the process of getting his green card and his U.S. citizenship. So, we weren't doing events yet in America, so we're trying to, so he had to sit out. And we didn't want to strip him because, we really appreciate Adriano Moraes a lot. So he had asked for a favor. He said, guys, I can't leave America for the next 12 months. So then we're like, oh man, okay, how do we finagle this, right? And then COVID hits. And then, so it was just one thing after another. But finally, yes, we are now 13 days out. Adriano Moraes will defend his world title against Demetrious Johnson. Knock on wood that there's no injuries in the next 13 days. So,
yeah, I feel like I might have cursed it or jinxed it by saying that, but
and it is a fight. I'll tell you, it is a fight that people want to see because if you look at DJ's career, right, he steamrolled everybody in the UFC. He didn't have any hard fights. Then he comes to one championship. And he has the toughest fights of his career where, people take his back, give him a black eye. He's never been banged up. And he will tell you, we had dinner here in Singapore for the Apprentice. And he's like, Chatri, the toughest athletes I've ever faced in my entire career are in one. And Adriano is huge for the weight class, right? He's like 5'9", 5'10", very long and lanky, really outstanding striker, moves on his feet very well. And obviously jiu-jitsu black belt. So, in my opinion, styles make fights. I think this is DJ's toughest fight of his entire career.
I can't wait to see it, definitely. I also can't wait to see the return of Eddie Alvarez. He's finally back as well against Yuri Lapicus.
Eddie had his knee injury, or was it ankle? I can't remember, an ankle or knee. And, he was supposed to be in the Grand Prix. So there's a lot of things that, again, that one was just one thing after another. And obviously COVID threw a monkey in the wrench. But now I'm glad, and I'm hoping that Eddie can fight 3 or 4 times this year. I'm hoping DJ can fight 3 or 4 times this year. Knock on wood, everything goes well according to plan this year. Yeah,
does Eddie get a title shot with a strong win here?
I think he's going to be close. I think he'll be on the path, right? Let's see. Eddie's got to break into the top 5 first, right? He's got to. This is a tough fight ahead, and Yuri's no slouch. He's 14-1 with 14 finishes. World-class striking, very slick on the ground. Sorry, I'm just, let me shut off.
Sorry.
Let me just, so Yuri is a very, very tough world-class opponent. So let's see what happens. But yeah, obviously if Eddie performs well, then we're probably going to do Doggy versus Eddie, or maybe Eddie for the title shot. I don't know. Let's see how Eddie looks. But I think people should not overlook Yuri. Yuri is a very dangerous opponent.
Yeah, and Christian Lee's also got Timofey Narstyukin, who knocked out Eddie on Eddie's debut. Christian and Eddie, should they both get through that? Does it seem like a marquee matchup for you, though? That seems like probably the biggest fight to make, I would say.
Eddie versus Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Stars align.
Yeah, so Christian has asked for it. Eddie's asked for it. They both want to fight each other. But then, we also... People forget the whole Eddie Shinya trilogy. I still want to do that too, right? Again, it's just unfortunate that when Eddie and DJ joined, the following year we had COVID, right? So we just couldn't get momentum behind them, in terms of marketing and number of fights and all that. But hopefully, again, this year's the year in which we can spend tons of money marketing them and pushing them, and because they'll have 3 or 4 fights this year. Knock on wood.
Yeah, you just mentioned Shinya there as well. So Sage Northcutt's back, and he's going to fight Shinya on one on TNT cards. So you're kind of throwing Sage to the wolves there. You're not. I mean, I thought Sage would maybe want a little tune-up or something. But.
Yeah, no, but Sage is the one who called out Shinya, and that's why we hadn't even thought about that idea. So he calls out Shinya on social media. So we're like, or maybe it was in a media interview. I don't know, but it was Sage's idea for his comeback fight to be Shinya. I said, okay, and then we thought about it, like, okay, this could be a fun fight because, obviously Shinya is a, very dangerous submission MMA athlete, possibly the greatest submission athlete ever in MMA. Just looking at the number of finishes he's had, but everyone knows striking is his weakness, and he's not a particularly explosive fighter. Sage is a, absolute beast of an athlete. Endless cardio, phenomenal, explosive athletic ability. So when he said he wanted to do this, we thought about it. That would be a great fight. I thought that's an interesting fight for all fans.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that too. Plenty of fights on these cards I'm really looking forward to. I just wanted to quickly ask about the Aung fight as well. That was moved up to light heavyweight. Now it's a title fight, and it was switched to the fourth show, which is a live show, I think. What was the thinking behind that? I spoke to both of the guys, Martin and Aung. They said they didn't want to fight on the same card again. Was that playing into it?
No, not that was playing into it. But obviously, they're best friends. But I mean, we're not gonna not put them on the same card because they're best friends. I mean, it happens so, right? No, it was just more of a, we wanted to spread the love on the four shows. In terms of fans having, great fights and great finishes. And then we just did matchups that we thought the fans would appeal most. So Aung Bigdash 3 is something that people want to see. I mean, it's an exciting fight.
Yeah, round 11 is what Aung was saying to me. And looking forward to that one. But yeah, it's a tough time for Aung, isn't it, right now, with everything going on in Myanmar, tough situation. Have you spoken to him? And yeah.
He and I talk very often, right? Actually, during the whole crisis, right when it broke, he messaged me for advice, and we spoke, and we're pretty close. We're buddies. So I was giving him advice on how he should handle. Obviously, he is by far the biggest, most well-known person in Myanmar, right? 54 million people idolize him like a god. So what he says and what he does can actually influence the political landscape. So it's very, on one hand, he should express his beliefs, was what I told him. But on the other hand, don't incite violence or action, because he can sway the masses. If he tells the entire country to do something, they will do it, right? So he's that loved, he's that revered. With great power comes great responsibility. And ultimately he wants, his country. He's always focused on peace and love and unity. Myanmar has had obviously a very difficult history, and it's still going through a difficult time right now, obviously. But I think Aung has handled it to the best of his ability. Slightly less serious note, Brandon Vera is training with him now. Was that fun to see those guys hook up at Sanford MMA after they had that battle? Brandon came to Singapore also for the Apprentice, and he and I had dinner. And he told me, he's moving over to Florida for his training camp, and he's going to, train out of Sanford MMA, and because it's hard for him, in Guam or in Philippines, there are a lot of heavyweights, right? So he's got to get that training, and of course he's at the end of his career, at the tail end of his career. He still wants to fight for a few more years, but his body's in good shape, right? But he doesn't have the sparring partners, he doesn't have the training partners around him. So at Sanford MMA, from my understanding, has a lot of big guys. At the same time, Brandon's very smart about his career. He doesn't want to, be a meathead and spar full out, 3 times a week and put mileage on the body. He'd rather train very smart, keep his body in good shape so he can continuously upgrade his skills, and then, spar here and there, but nothing too crazy. He has all the skills already. He doesn't need to, kind of like, I forget which athlete said they don't spar as much anymore, but I think that's fine. Light sparring once a week is fine if you've done a lifetime of martial arts. Like Max Holloway? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I think MMA athletes, actually all combat sport athletes, the damage gets done in the gym, not necessarily in the fight, because you go through many more rounds in the gym than you do in actual fight. And a lot of times you get banged up. And he was pretty tight-lipped
about who he's fighting, but it seemed to be that he's going to fight soon. Can you give us any information on when Brandon's going to defend that title?
Imminently. Yeah, I mean, he's in Florida because he's training for. I mean, the bout agreement's signed, so he and Arjun again. That's another fight that was like it's been like one thing after another. You know, cursed. But they are going to fight. They signed the bout agreements. Yeah, it's imminent. We'll probably announce it pretty soon. But yeah, they're both in training camp.
Sweet. That's good to hear. All right. I really appreciate it, Chatri. I know you're a busy man, so thanks a lot for taking time out to speak to me.
No worries, man. Thank you so much, Nick, for all of your work and your contributions to, you know, mixed martial arts and martial arts in general in Asia. Super happy for you, man. You're doing great work and you're growing that fan base. And, you know, I'm a loyal reader, follower of everything you put up on YouTube or write. So thank you so much.
I appreciate that, man. I just, hopefully can get back to a fight week there with you guys.
I know. Totally.
Yeah.